When applying for study abroad, you will need to request at least one faculty recommendation form, although a couple of programs do require a second one. When you are thinking about who to ask, you will want to ask a professor who has given you a letter grade in higher education. This does not have to be a San Francisco State professor. You are welcome and encouraged to ask community college professors, or if you attended any other 2 or 4 year higher education institution, those professors may recommend you. Who you ask will depend upon your academic goal for study abroad. If you're going abroad for your major or your minor, it is recommended and requested that you do ask a professor in your field of study. However, if you're going abroad for a language, GEs, or you have not taken any classes yet in your major or minor, then you may ask any professor in higher education. It does have to be a professor. No advisors or employers may recommend you for this form. When you are thinking about who to ask, please reach out to them directly, separate from this application. The biggest feedback we get from professors is students go directly into this, and then it looks like an email comes directly from our office, and they don't know why they're receiving this. So please do ask them beforehand. Then once they say yes, go into this form. It is highly recommended that you do this as soon as possible. Professors do ask that you give them a minimum of 2 weeks to complete this form. However, some professors may be open to less time. That's why you want to do it as soon as possible. When you are talking to the professor, let them know it is a recommendation form, not a letter. That's an important fact to stress because a form is much shorter than a letter of recommendation. This form shouldn't take them more than 5 or 10 minutes at most to complete. It's really just giving a thumbs up. We support the student. They would be successful for study abroad. Once you know which professor you want to recommend you, go into the application and
enter their email address.
The faculty recommendation is required for all programs. There is a handful of programs that may require the foreign language one. In addition, that's only true if your program requires 4 or more semesters of the language. Then you may have to do a language recommendation in addition to the faculty recommendation. But everyone needs to request at least one faculty recommendation. When you do fill this out, please put their email address. It doesn't have to be the San Francisco State email address, as some professors may prefer a different one, or they may not work at San Francisco State. Once you do hit save on this and this email goes to the professor, they will get an email and a hyperlink. They copy and paste that hyperlink into a web browser, and they will fill out a very short form. Please note that that link in that email only lasts for 30 days. If they take longer than 30 days to complete it, you may need to request it again from them a second time. When they do go and fill out the form, this is what they will see. It just confirms a few details. Then it's saying, how are you as a student? How do you cope with academic content? The selection committee is only looking for a sentence or two. It's really kind of a thumbs up from professors. Yes, the student is good. They will be successful overseas. In addition to academics, but also personal, are there any things that would make them a successful candidate? Again, it's really short and sweet. Because they could say, the student is really good in my class, they've been friendly, they'd be a good candidate for study abroad. If the professor knows you in more detail, they are encouraged and welcome to put more details, but again, it's only looking for a sentence or two. Then it asks, do you
support the student or have any concerns about them? If so, why or why not?
It's not looking for any really long explanation. Most SF State professors are very happy to support you. You let them know it's a short form and they will complete this for you if you give them sufficient time. When you are doing this, you will know that you have sent the request out.
Because it will say sent to and then the email address below the box, as well as the date in which it was sent. You can cancel it or resend it using those words under the box on the bottom right side of your screen.
Please do log back in to confirm the professor has done this by the application deadline. While the selection committee will give them a few days grace period after the deadline, it's much better for your application if this is all submitted by the time of the deadline. If for any reason the professor says yes, they will do it, but they seem to not be able to do it in by the deadline, feel free to ask a second professor,
even a third professor if necessary,
to complete this form on you. You also may want to confirm with them that they did in fact receive that link. They don't always do. A common reason is the email address might be entered incorrectly. You might want to check back in here and see if it was. Any reason that they need it again, the link has expired, they just didn't get it, always feel free to
send it using the button or request another recommendation from a different professor.
Follow up with your professors, a nice thank you note afterwards, or to help encourage them to submit a recommendation for you is a really good idea. You do not need to wait until the professor hits submit in order for you to submit your application. You may submit your application while the recommendation status is still saying pending.
However, you will need your recommendation in before the selection committee can consider you and have your application be considered complete
in order to apply for a study abroad.